You are listening to CrossTalk, a safe place to discuss addiction, recovery, harm reduction, and everything in between. Support for this podcast comes from the Kentucky Opioid Response Effort and Advocates of Recovery. Content and production by the team at Turning Point Recovery Community Center. Now, buckle up and get ready for the show.
Welcome everyone to CrossTalk Recovery, the recovery podcast that supports all forms of recovery. I'm Matt Lewis, and I'm here with
Sam Peterson.
Amity Cooper.
Welcome, Amity, Sam. Appreciate you all coming on today. This is Mental Health Awareness Month. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I was glad that Amity reached out and wanted to come on the podcast, being that you are a mental health professional and have got a lot of experience in this area. And I did some research on you. You're a very interesting person. You've had your hand in a lot of pots, so to speak. So wanted you to come on today, and we're going to just talk about Mental Health Awareness Month. I know that it's getting better. It's been bad in the past, but it's getting better correlation between mental health and recovery. A lot of times there's not every place treats both. There's a lot of treatment centers popping up now that are treating both mental health and addiction because they go hand to hand in a lot of cases. So that's a big thing I want to talk about, and the importance of aftercare. You know, the aftercare after you get out of treatment or as you're trying to take care of yourself, whatever your recovery looks like. Like I said in the opening, we support all forms of recovery. And that's another thing that I think is really cool about what you do. I saw that you are Amity, involved in equine assisted psychotherapy, which I've heard a lot of good things about. So I'd love to hear some about that. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, again, thank you for having me, guys. This is really exciting. I love talking about everything mental health and opportunities for personal growth, and especially with May being Mental Health Awareness Month. I mean, I think it really highlights, discussions and topics that we deal with every day, but the idea of serving and focusing on your personal mental health is an everyday affair, right? It's not just for May. Come on. I mean, we got to give May something. But in reality, we're a work in progress, aren't we? I mean, this is a lifelong journey to become our best selves, right? In action. And so when we hit bumps in the road, when we hit crises, we should be shored up enough to be able to withstand all of the quakes and the tremors and even the tornadoes that might be hitting us, right? So these are psychological skills that we can all sort of work on, and we are working on them. So a little bit more about me and my background. So after 20 years or so working in the for-profit world, doing a lot of different things from fashion to chocolate, and that's a whole nother conversation. I decided to go back to school and get a second master's degree in mental health counseling. And for the last 5-6 years, I've been really sort of dabbling in all aspects of the field, and it's been a wonderful journey. And I really found like my calling. I love helping others discover who they are and how they can show up in the world. And I do that in a variety of ways. So first and foremost, as a mental health professional and coach, I work a lot with individuals who are in career transition. And so that's really exciting for me. And that sort of wraps around exactly what we're going to be talking about today, at least about what those next steps are, figuring out who you are. And then the other ways in which I do this not only through online coaching and packages and services, but I also run and operate a 40-acre equine guest ranch out here in Colorado. So that is really exciting and warm. And it is just so thrilling to me to be able to offer that place as a respite for people who are on their journey and want to get closer to nature. So I do that. And then on the other side of it, and oh gosh, I have a lot of things going on, guys. The other thing is that education, awareness, advancing and advocating for mental health professionals is really, really dear to my heart. And so I have a professional development company called Clinical Career Collective, aka C3, where I help train up other professionals who want to get into this industry because it's so fulfilling. So that's sort of me in a nutshell. Where do you want to go from here?
Me and Matt both are, of course, peer support specialists, and so we get a lot of the first part of our training is is not in recovery. Is like I guess would like to say it. I have a co-occurring disorder, so I have substance use disorder along with a severe mental illness that I'm in both in recovery from, and so I get to help a broad range of people. So I work on the substance use issues, and then of course with mental health issues, of course, as well. But after dealing with professional people like yourself for a long time, and then through the course of the way things have changed, when I started taking care of both is when my life finally got good. I've always went to treatment for one, and then I do therapy later, and I would never did both at the same time.
Yeah.
And once that finally got together at the same time, that was the big difference maker for me and a lot of other people, I think, working in the field.
Yeah. So really your approach, I mean, through your life experiences, you realize you can't like compartmentalize your experiences, right? They're all integrated. And I think our industry finally, and your organization and center, provides an integrative way in which you approach your life. I mean, you can't say I'm going to just do this over here and this over here. It doesn't work that way. I mean, that's not how things happen, right?
Right.
So,
right. And that's
yeah.
what, one of the things I saw on your website that I really like that is a huge part of my recovery is, body, mind, and spirit, getting all of it together. And once I got sober and started to work on myself that way, I wanted to improve every aspect of my life. And like you said, with getting in touch with nature is one of the things that you do out there. That's a huge part of my recovery. I got back out to hiking and climbing and all the things that outside that I love to do. Camping, that's where I connect with God, so to speak. And it's been a huge part of my recovery, and I encourage other people towards it. I know it's not everyone, like you said, everybody's recovery is different. So not everyone enjoys those same types of things, but I know the benefits of those, of exercise, of having working on that spiritual malady, all those things. And I'm not in mental health recovery, so to speak. Maybe I should be, as Sam often tells me, but I'm compassionate towards those people that are, because I realize that that's such a harder road to travel, to be dealing with both those at the same time and trying to figure out the medication and figure out what it is that you like. And talking about aftercare, that's the thing. A lot of people come out of recovery or in recovery and don't even know what they like, because they've spent so much time dealing with mental health issues or dealing with their addiction or both, that they don't know what they enjoy doing. And I always tell them, that's a great spot to be, because really you just try everything and try to, something's going to stick, but you enjoy doing, and then you focus on that. But I just know it's so important to stay connected and find those things that you are pushing you to be better,
Well, you guys can give some more clarity around this. I mean, my understanding is at least working with individuals, we all have some sort of fixation or focus, and of course that runs on the spectrum. I mean, if you're fully addicted to a substance, I mean, that is driving the bus, let's say.
Yes.
You can't go ahead and address any of those underlying fundamental issues regarding your mental health well-being if that addiction is running the show. So, most clinicians that I know of, if you are starting to go on and starting this path towards recovery, you have to get the addiction under control. You have to be able to clear that away so you can reveal who you are underneath. And underneath, for many, many people and folks who have been suffering this way, don't know who they are.
Right.
They have been following an agenda that, by circumstance and experience is not their own. The rules of the road are not theirs that they defined. So once you get through that process of that clarity moment, right, of going through your recovery, your detox, if you will, you come out on the other side, hopefully 90 days later, 6 months later,
Right.
and you're kind of going, can I curse on this site? Like, can I curse?
Yeah.
Holy fuck. Like, what am I gonna be? Who am I? And that, my friends, is a sticky, very tentative place to be if you've never figured out what your first principles are, what your guiding principles are in life, what your values are, how you see yourself, what your worldview is. If I can provide some sort of context, it's really hard to get up and move forward because you don't know what direction you're pointing in, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think this is a very tenuous position for a lot of us who are in the mental health field, who with the best intentions are trying to serve and help others move forward and onward from this moment in recovery. We sort of drop the ball, like we pass the buck off to other people. Like it comes down to the peer support that you provide and the communities that you align yourself with, and finding and following maybe a few people that are just a few steps ahead of you, right? Isn't this what peer
That's
support is
exactly
all
right. It's all
about?
about staying connected to a positive
Right.
environment and being around people that are going to encourage you and push you and pull you and to be better, and want the best for you. That's a large part of what we do here is Peer Support's a Turning Point, is like people coming out of recovery or as they're going to continuing their therapy and things like that. We're just trying to help them get involved around the community of recovery. We plan events, things like fun things for them to do, to make new friends, positive friends, and not go back to some maybe those negative influences, keep them from the isolation that a lot of us are so used to doing. Like, oh, I'll just go hole up and things will get better. But, time does not heal all wounds like that, so that's why it's so important to stay connected. Like you're talking about, it's been a big part of my recovery. It's why I got to work in recovery, because I was like, I have to stay connected. I have to give back. I have to try and help someone else to be reminded where I came from. And it's been really beneficial in that way. And I try to encourage that in others.
We'll be right back.
Hey y'all, did you know it's illegal to own just one guinea pig in Switzerland because they get lonely? Here at Turning Point, we don't want you to ever be lonely either. That's why we're open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Always feel free to come hang with our friendly staff, and don't forget your guinea pig. We're located at 415 Broadway Street, downtown Paducah.
Did you know that recovery from substance use disorder and mental health go hand in hand? That is why the caring and compassionate mental health professionals at Four Rivers Behavioral Health in Paducah are here to help you find your balance. They are proud of you for making the changes necessary to live a healthier life and would love to see you reach your full potential. Give them a call at 270-442-7121 or stop by the downtown location at 425 Broadway in Paducah, Kentucky.
I always tell people, I do a lot of outreach with the van we have here where we go out in the communities. And I always tell people, they'll be like, well, I just don't understand addiction, because, they're not addicts themselves. They don't deal with an addiction. And then I'm like, well, whatever's most important in your life, you just replace that with whatever the substance is that you're seeking. And that's the only best way I have to describe it. So, so many of these things like friends, family, children, they get set to the secondary because the primary operating force, at least when I was out there, was just finding the next one. I mean, that was number one every day. So when we come to the other side and when we're in recovery, it's like, I have no idea who I am. It's where I was at. Like he was talking about, I had absolutely no idea who I was, because for over a decade, the only thing I had done with the primary driving force in my day every day was finding that substance and using that substance and then repeating for a decade. So, when you end up you were like me, I was in my late 30s and I was like, I don't even know who I am. But
so what did you do? How did you start to figure out who you were?
Well, I was lucky. I was in a long-term treatment facility, which was 6 months. It was 6 month treatment facility to RKC here in Kentucky, which is a Recovery Kentucky Center. It's completely free. So that's amazing. And then as I was there and get out of that fog, it's like hanging out with the guys who are playing cornhole, you're doing this, and they let you out. I didn't get to because I went during COVID, but
That's a whole other topic, right?
yeah, right,
Yeah.
right. So there's you could extend your stay even longer and become a peer mentor, which is you be peer mentor with the other guys in the program, help them go through their steps. And that's when I found out I had these new friends. Matt came into the program shortly after. We didn't like each other because he didn't think I was going to like him, and he didn't think he was going to like me. And then we're good friends. But it's amazing how these things happen over the time, and just trying new stuff that I thought, well, I used to like to bowl when I was younger. I like to do this when I was younger. So I went back and did those things again and see who I was. Of course, during this time, I'm also doing the therapy for the other stuff. And, I'm doing my therapy and I'm trying to, you're doing your best to become a better person a little bit every day. And I think I still do that. I'm like, every time my therapist asks me, how well are you doing on a scale to 10, 1 to 10? I never say 10 because it leaves absolutely no room for growth, right? Always an 8 or 9. I will never tell you 10 because I'm never going to be perfect. I can always do a little bit better.
Right.
And then,
Wow. So that curiosity, you suddenly that mist or that veil of addiction is lifted, the fog, I should say, and things become clearer. You start to you look to your memories, you look to experiences that excited you, that made you shine, that like created a sense of purpose and value and happiness, right? We're all striving we're pursuing happiness all the time, right? This
right.
is innate within us. And the way we find happiness, and I just attended a an event this week with Arthur Brooks. I don't know if you're familiar with him. But anyway, he's a professor at Harvard, and he talks about this pursuit of happiness. What does that mean? And that's about relationships, connections, and purpose, meaning, what drives us to do what we do. And now that we've come out of this real struggle, we have to find and become sort of aligned with these next tasks that we've been handed. It's our own hero's journey, right? Like we're all trying to move forward, and what life gives us is an opportunity for growth and change and healing our own communities, ourselves and our communities. So I think, Sam, that's awesome that you went back to bowling, was it? Like, you just found certain things that sort of sparked a wonderful happiness, a moment of joy. So something that has been really profound for me personally, as well as, and I talk about it with all of my clients, it's this idea of writing your life manifesto, of really putting together a guidebook for your life. It's a companion guide, a field guide, however you want to label it.
Yeah.
And where you actually do a deep, hard look at what you believe, why you believe those things, how it's going to propel you forward into the future, and creating a strategy to get you there, right? And so that's called a service that I provide called Lifebook. And it takes a really bird's eye view of not just like 4 domains, which typically are included in a typical sort of mental health approach. It's like you look at your career, you look at your finances, your relationships, and maybe your strengths, right? Those are just 4. But in reality, we live in all these sort of domains, and that ranges from your health and fitness to your intellectual life, your character, like who you are, how you show up with your friends and family, and as a parent possibly, or your spiritual orientation. What do you aspire to? What holds you accountable in this world? How do you feel connected to of course, all those other things, a life vision, your career, how are you going to show up and do the work that you do? And it is profound. It is life-changing. And instead of looking elsewhere, which we've all done, we all look to the drug, or we look to somebody else, or we look to other people or influencers to tell us how we should be, we actually turn to ourselves for guidance and assuredness and support. And that, my friends, is, I think, the key to our success of becoming our best selves.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's how it was for me. Once I learned to love myself and like who I was, and all that, I was blessed to have a lot of interest as a kid versus art and music and things like that. To once I got sober, I fell back on all those things and have just gone at those full steam ahead. But not everyone has that, and when you're saying about happiness, like I found moments of happiness in my addiction, but that happiness can be so temporary. Today, I try to look at it, happiness as it's more important to exist in a state of joy, which for me is like finding gratitude in everything, to where that it's not a person that's going to make me happy, or even something I enjoy that's going to make me happy. It's the fact that I'm existing in this world and have the opportunities in front of me, no matter how big or small, and be appreciative of those. And then that is a sense of joy that provides ultimate happiness than all things. I'm not always, things are not going to go how I want them to go all the time, but I can accept that. It's how I let things affect me is the important thing. Like I can, the problems that I deal with today, I say this all the time, are pale in comparison to the problems of my addiction, so like whatever life throws at me, as long as I don't let it pull me down into that depression, that negativity, that state that, some people struggle really hard to stay out of, which is the mental health field, like being able to focus on gratitude. I push it all the time. I say it at the end of every podcast, stay grateful. Like if you can find gratitude in the smallest things, that's that sense of joy and ultimate happiness. And that's what I believe or work towards.
Yeah, it's being in the present moment.
Yeah.
Staying there, not living in the past and not being anxious about the future. But if you can be here now, you're in a good place. It's the only place to be. So
Right.
I add to what Matt said. I start out my every day with positivity. So I started this when I was early in treatment. I still do it today. I get down first thing in the morning. I write down 5 things about myself that are good. So I start out with a good frame of mind. That way, the negative thinking doesn't pop in.
all that self-talk. Ooh, yeah.
Which is one of my big deals I still work with. So first thing in the morning, I get up, positivity. It's going to be a good day. Did a good job yesterday. Going to do a good day today. And that positivity feeds out throughout the day because it is easy to switch back to the negative. If I start my day out that way, though, it seems like that's the right foot coming out of the bed. So that's still something along with all the other things Matt was talking about. That's one of my
I love that. I love that. I mean, to feel gratitude, it's sort of it permeates it's an opportunity for it to change every interaction and every moment you have with yourself and with others, right? It puts a new lens and perspective out there that, gosh, I mean, this is something that we want to promote all the time,
Right. Yeah,
right?
right.
Yeah, just part of our everyday lives.
Yeah.
Thanking and being blessed.
Mhm.
So we touched a little bit on the aftercare that you provide. And I just have to say, I was familiarizing myself with the peer support model, and I've always been a huge, huge proponent of that because it takes a village, right? To be your best. And so, surrounding yourself with others who have been there and had those experiences, there have been, I don't know if you guys realize, I'm sure you do, but how long peer support has been studied and applied. I mean, I was blown away by the statistics of just how successful these peer support programs are globally, because they're really applied like in crisis intervention moments of where there's no practitioner, there's no therapist on hand. And it just is a fundamental need.
Yeah, there's
And
no school like lived experience,
yeah,
And yeah, we've seen it explode in this region as far as peer sport in every, aspect through recovery, mental health, like all,
At Turning Point, which is our recovery community center here at Four Rivers, which is the big company. We're the small part of it. Community mental health center. Everybody
yeah,
that works in Turning Point is a person in recovery. So it's we'll have people come in, they need to go to treatment. So we get them into treatment, but we want them back, because that's so many times people go to 30-day treatment and they get out and it's like, okay, I'm good. And that's just the beginning. That's just getting separated from the drugs or the alcohol or whatever for long enough to get the mind right. So then we hope we get our people back. And then that's when it's the resume building, introducing them to other people they're doing the next right thing, sober living. I mean, whatever that person's need is. And we call it recovery capital scale. And we're just trying to increase people's recovery capital and letting people know if, hey, if you struggle, if you mess up, just come back. We're right here.
yeah.
Come back. Well, we're going to work through that too. I always tell people I started my recovery in 2013. Abstinence has only been in the last 4 years, but I started recovery in 2013 and it was a struggle. I kept bouncing back and forth for a while. I'm like, that's okay if it happens. Of course, we don't want it to happen, but if it happens, it's okay. Come on back. We'll go to work again. And this part I like about the community center is sometimes it's just a safe place to. You don't have anywhere else to go, just come in, sit on the couch, watch TV, hang out with us. It's better than staying at home and between those two ears.
We'll be right back.
As a woman in recovery, I know how important having a fellowship of women has been for me. Come join us at the Women of Worth All Recovery Support Group here at Turning Point, 415 Broadway, Paducah, Kentucky, every Friday night at 6 p.m., where we discuss our personal experiences in recovery. Hope to see you there.
One thing I have always wondered is who put the alphabet in alphabetical order. At Turning Point, our goal is to help you put your life back in order. If you struggle or have struggled with substance use disorder and are in need of help, come see us at 415 Broadway Street, Paducah, Kentucky, or call 270-444-3621 and sign up for peer support services with one of our friendly staff who have lived experience with addiction. Hope to see you soon.
It's an amazing thing. I mean, addiction isolates you. Addiction is it takes away so much of it disconnects you from reality, from your friends, from your people, from your community. And once you get clear of that crisis, once you get clear of that toxic relationship, that codependency, you need your people more than ever. And aftercare is not an individual endeavor, right? You're just sort of re-entering society in a way. And thank God there's people there to support you and be with you and show you the way. I mean, you're doing amazing work. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to hear a little bit about the equine psychotherapy that you do, because I find it really interesting. I know that I fell in love with horses in a way I never had when I lived in Louisville. They got the Derby. That's a big part of the whole lifestyle there. And I know that they feed off of our energy. Like they can tell what we're feeling and how we act. Like if you're freaking out, they're going to freak out, So I just want to know a little bit more about it. So tell me.
Sure. Well, first I have to say that horses are magic.
Mm-hmm.
And I really found this this world only when I entered graduate school. I had never grown up around horses. I had been around them maybe a handful of times in my life. And I'm sort of setting the stage here because it doesn't matter where you come from, what your background is. There's room for you here. There is this field, this opportunity to engage with beautiful sentient beings as a 1,000-pound animal horse is so incredible and transformative. And you don't have to have horse experience. Okay. So first and foremost, I'm living proof of that. So I came into to my interaction in grad school. There was a flyer up and it said, "Here, come have a one-day experience with horses." And I was like, "Sign me up." And I went out and it changed my life. I walked into the arena. There were 3 horses at liberty so that they were untacked. They were just hanging out in the arena in the round pen. And we were given the challenge to sort of join up with a horse with our eyes closed, and we were being led by a fellow participant. How do we do that? Well, that's for another conversation. But in the end, I found myself, I joined up. I felt I was petting, I was touching, I was just breathing in all of them and this experience. And I realized in that moment, like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, because the experience was so profound and so moving that it shook my world. And I've been pursuing it ever since. So the wonderful, magical essence of a horse is that they are a living example of living in the present moment every single day, right? So when you walk out into the field or you step into that arena with this horse, they don't care about where you came from. They don't care about your issues. They just want to know, are you going to hang with them or not? And all of that chatter, all of those excuses, all of that limiting belief or attitudes that you may hold don't matter to them. And you can leave them at the gate, because in the moment, they just want to be next to you. They want to be in relationship with you, in connection with you. And that is such a powerful experience that I've seen individuals who are coming out of recovery just on their at the trailhead of change here. It's overwhelming. It's a visceral physical shift. The body sort of releases. There's a somatic change. Like, you will see people's bodies releasing the trauma by shaking it out. There's obviously the breath changes. Instead of maybe being elevated, it drops into syncopation with the horse, and the horse's energy fields can extend upwards and outwards of like 500 feet surround. So like, they can pick up and sense something coming from a mile away. So they're well aware of you. And when you come into contact with them, wow, it is just amazing. And so it's the beginning. It's the beginning of awareness. It's the beginning of relationship. It's the beginning of so many beautiful, wonderful things. So that's how I got into it.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can totally see that. And that horses, for sure, they're amazing creatures, very large animals. And then just like you see the benefits of people, emotional support, animals, dogs, just petting a cat can be like, I know my dog is crazy, but it's still nice that when I come home, he's happy to see me, like just that little support can mean a lot to a lot of people, I'm just,
Yeah.
need to get
So
an animal.
Well, they won't let me have one at my apartment. It's not allowed.
Well, unfortunately, I have two horses at the moment. I lost one a few months back, but I have two mares, two girls. One is a Morgan mare, and she just is lovely and sweet and has done other sorts of work. She was a athlete. She was a competitor. She did dressage. And then I have a little Shetland pony who's quite sassy and is just fun to be around. So unfortunately, I can't bring them in the house like a dog, but I literally jump at every opportunity to just go outside and be with them and work with them. But one of the things that I'm such a what can I say? Like, I light up when I talk about horses. I light up when I realize that I can share this amazing work with other people. But for so many of us, we have an incredible challenge ahead of us because we're experiencing an epidemic of large proportions. I mean, there's fewer and fewer people having access to nature, and we're experiencing nature deprivation around us. Like more people are sitting sedentary inside. I mean, this is incredible. I love tech. I love tech. I mean, to be able to connect with you guys across the country is pretty phenomenal.
Awesome.
But the kind of work that I do has a lot of barriers. Not everybody can get outside. Not everybody can get to a barn. Not everybody can get access to an equine therapist, right? So it's my job to talk about this some more and find new and creative ways to bring this sort of intervention to the masses. And so, it's if you ever want to start an equine therapy program, call me because I'd love to help you.
I think there's actually one just south of us in Tennessee. I had a sponsee one time that he raised horses as a kid and he wanted to get into it. And he about took a job down there working with the horses, but it was about 40 miles away from us. But we have the benefit of being in Kentucky though, so there's
Yes,
nature's all
We are
around
in
us. We take it for
Kentucky.
granted sometimes because I mean,
Not me.
Just in how lucky we are.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you're talking 15 minutes down the road, and you're to a hiking trail or the woods in any direction from where we're at. So we're lucky in that respect. But
You're very lucky, and I think I want to stress to whoever who's listening here that really this is part of everyday life. This is your job to go out and take a walk. I mean, it is a simple, I mean, if you want to get clinical here, 20 minutes a day is the preferred dose of nature intervention, right? So go outside, take a walk, take your dog, borrow your neighbor's dog if you don't have one, and just observe, just take it in, take a breath, look outside, don't look down at your phone, look out into the
Right.
field beyond you, right? Like these are simple applications to get you grounded, to get you present, and to be able to address and tackle whatever is coming your way and to meet it head on, because we're always searching and looking for clues in our environments for safety, for security, right? And so even though we are predators biologically, by being next to a horse or any other sort of animal for that matter, it's like we have this symbiotic relationship between prey and predator experiences. And by just getting back and into our natural environments, we sort of can ease that the trauma, the PTSD that we all live with on varying degrees and spectrums.
right.
And we're able to center ourselves differently. So I think if we were to wrap this up and say, like, just a reminder for the month of May and for our mental health well-being, you have the tools and the means to care for yourself. And it's about getting outside, staying connected with other people, and finding your why and pursuing it with all of your passion.
Yeah, it's hard to be in the sunlight of the spirit if you're never in the sunlight. I always tell my guys that.
Oh, amen. Right. Wow. So true. Yeah.
Very true. That's awesome. I appreciate you coming on, Amity. Like that was a great way to sum it up. I don't know how to go in after that and talk about something else. Because I mean, truly, like one thing I've been practicing a lot more lately is I've been going like I've already loved being outside, but I'll go outside barefoot and just put my feet in the grass and just like connecting with the earth. Like that has just been I've been doing that a lot lately, and I found it like just up in the level, even from where I was already at, just reconnecting in that way, getting closer to God, getting closer to nature. And so it's a real blessing. And I encourage everyone towards that,
Yeah.
stop staring at your phone, put down your phone for a minute.
Put down your phone after you listen to this.
Right, yeah, exactly. All right, Amy, thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Check us out on YouTube or listen to our audio versions on Apple, Google, Spotify, Podbean, Amazon Music. And as always, stay grateful.
I would sincerely like to thank Amity for coming on. If you want to know more about Amity, go to amitycooper.com. And if you want to know more about her life book, go to mylifebook.com. Thanks again.
If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction or in recovery and needs guidance, speak with Turning Point's team of peer support specialists by calling 270-444-3621. You are not alone, and we are proof that recovery is possible.